The clock reads 3:47 p.m. when the first tremor hits. Most people in London don't even notice it at first. A faint vibration, the kind you'd blame on a passing lorry, or maybe construction work nearby. But then, the pigeons, thousands of them, lifting off from Trafalgar Square all at once. The sound is like tearing fabric, massive, shreddering fabric. And that's when the Thames starts to steam. Not boil, not yet, but steam. Like someone's running a hot bath underneath the entire riverbed. Tourists on Westminster Bridge pull out their phones. They're filming the water, confused, fascinated. One woman laughs nervously and says it looks like a jacuzzi. Her friend doesn't respond. She's staring east, toward the city, where the sky has started to change color. It's not black, it's worse than black. It's this sick, greenish gray, like the air itself is rotting. By 3:51, the seismographs at Imperial College are going absolutely berserk. The needles aren't just spiking anymore. They're flat against the edge of the paper. Redlining. One of the grad students monitoring the equipment actually whispers, "That's not possible." But the machine doesn't care what's possible. It's recording something massive forming directly beneath central London. Something that shouldn't exist. Not here. Not ever. The second tremor is different. This one, everyone feels. Windows crack in diagonal lines across glass towers in Canary Wharf. Car alarms start shrieking in waves block by block like dominoes made of sound. A bus driver on Whitehall slams the brakes because the road in front of him is moving, not shaking, moving, undulating, like breathing. And Big Ben does something it hasn't done in over 160 years. It stops. The great clock face freezes at 3:53. The minute hand just halts. And in that sudden silence, in that absence of the familiar mechanism, people start to understand that something is very, very wrong. Because Big Ben doesn't stop. Not for wars, not for bombings, not for anything. The ground splits open at 3:54, not gradually, not with warning. It just rips apart like wet paper, right there in the middle of Parliament Square. A jagged, screaming fissure that's maybe 3 meters wide and God knows how deep. Steam explodes out of it. Superheated. The kind that takes the skin off your face in seconds. People are running now. Actually running. Dropping bags, phones, everything. Just running. And then the sound starts. It's not a rumble. Rumbles are too ordinary. This is a roar from underneath the world. A sustained, guttural bellow that you don't just hear. You feel it in your teeth, in your chest cavity. Like standing next to a jet engine, except the jet engine is the size of a city, and it's angry. The Thames begins to churn. Actual whirlpools forming near the bridges. The water level drops by a meter in less than 30 seconds. Fish are thrashing on the exposed mud banks. Dead fish, boiled fish. The smell hits the air like a physical thing. Sulfur and rotting seaweed and something else. Something chemical and ancient and wrong. By 3:56, the evacuation alerts hit every phone in central London simultaneously. That specific, teeth-rattling alarm tone. But the message doesn't say evacuate. It says seek immediate shelter. Because there's nowhere to evacuate to. Not fast enough, not from this. The volcanic plug breaks through at 3:58. It doesn't erupt like Vesuvius or Krakatoa. It doesn't build slowly. It just punches through the earth like a fist through drywall. Right there. Right in the heart of Westminster. A column of molten rock and gas and pulverized stone that goes straight up. No warning, no preamble. The sound is so loud that people within half a kilometer just collapse. Their eardrums blown out. Blood coming from their ears. They're on their hands and knees, mouths open, screaming. But there's no sound left to hear. The column hits Big Ben first. The tower is made of brick and limestone and cast iron. Solid Victorian engineering. Built to last centuries. It lasts about 4 seconds. The superheated gas cloud hits the base of the tower at over 700 degrees Celsius. The mortar between the bricks just vanishes, turns to dust. The iron framework inside starts to glow orange, then white, and then the whole structure begins to sag, like a candle melting. Except it's a 96-meter tower with a 13-ton bell inside. The clock face shatters first. The glass explodes outward in a glittering cloud. The iron hands of the clock, the ones that have pointed out the time since 1859, droop and curl like paper in a fire. The great bell, Big Ben itself, the bell that's rung out across London for over a century and a half. It starts to ring one last time, not from being struck, from the metal twisting. A long, warped, off-key toll that sounds almost like screaming. And then the tower collapses. It doesn't topple sideways like a tree. It implodes. The whole structure compresses down on itself, floor by floor, in a cascade of brick and stone and molten metal. The dust cloud that erupts outward is black. Not gray, black. And it's hot. People running from Parliament are engulfed by it, and they just vanish into that darkness. You can hear them coughing, choking. Then you can't hear them anymore. The eruption column is still rising. It's punched through the cloud layer now. Visible from Kent, from Surrey, from 50 miles away. A pillar of ash and fire that looks like something from another planet. And it's not stopping. It's not slowing down. The pyroclastic surge comes at 4:02. Most people don't know what that means. They're about to learn. It's a ground-hugging avalanche of superheated gas and rock fragments that moves at over 100 kilometers per hour. It doesn't care about streets or buildings or rivers. It just flows, like liquid death. The first surge rolls down Whitehall over Downing Street through St. James's Park. Everything it touches ignites. Trees explode into flame. Cars are flipped and melted. The windows of Buckingham Palace blow inward from the pressure wave, and the building starts to burn from the inside out. The Thames doesn't stop the surge. It flows right over the water. The river actually boils where the surge touches it. Fish and debris and God knows what else cooking in seconds. The bridges don't collapse so much as they dissolve. The stone blackens and crumbles and falls away like ash. By 4:05, central London is gone. Not damaged. Gone. There's no fires to put out because there's nothing left to burn. Just this apocalyptic landscape of gray and black and glowing red. The streets are buried under meters of ash and pumice. Buildings that are still standing are hollow, burned-out shells. The London Eye is a twisted skeleton of metal, half submerged in a sea of volcanic debris, and the column keeps rising. It's over 20 kilometers high now, spreading out at the top into that horrible, familiar mushroom shape. Except it's not a bomb. It's the Earth itself vomiting up its guts. The ash cloud is drifting east on the jet stream. In an hour, it'll darken the skies over Amsterdam. In 6 hours, Berlin. By tomorrow morning, the entire European airspace will be shut down. The seismographs are still screaming, because it's not stopping. The magma chamber below London is enormous. No one knew it was there. No one even suspected. And now it's emptying itself into the atmosphere. Millions of tons of ash, sulfur dioxide, volcanic gas, enough to drop global temperatures. Enough to turn summer into winter for months. The first responders who try to approach from the outskirts of the city can't. The heat is still too intense. The air is unbreathable. Their equipment is registering temperatures that don't make sense. The GPS systems in their vehicles start malfunctioning because the ash cloud is so thick it's interfering with satellite signals. They're getting radio calls from people trapped in basements and tube stations and shelters, voices screaming for help. And there's nothing they can do. Not yet. Maybe not for days. By nightfall, the column has started to collapse. The eruption is running out of pressure, but the ash is still falling. A gray, gritty snow that covers everything. It's falling in Dover, in Brighton, in Oxford. People are standing in their gardens, hands out, catching flakes of what used to be London. Some of them are crying. Some are just staring. The official death toll won't be known for weeks, maybe months. But the estimates start coming in within hours. Tens of thousands, maybe more. It depends on how many people manage to get underground. How many made it to the tube stations before the surge hit. How many are still alive down there in the dark, breathing filtered air, waiting for rescue that might not come in time. The thing is, Big Ben was never supposed to stop. That was the whole point of it. The great clock that kept ticking through everything. Through wars, through bombs, through centuries of history. It was supposed to be permanent. Unchanging, the heartbeat of the city. But permanence is a lie we tell ourselves. Everything stops eventually. Everything falls. And when it does, when something that solid, that ancient, that certain just ceases to exist in the span of a few minutes, it doesn't make you think the world is ending. It makes you realize it already did. You just didn't notice the clock had stopped until the silence was deafening.